welcome back to the Missing Piece podcast. I'm here today with the lovely Sarah. She's got an absolutely emotional, traumatic, but incredible, brave story to tell today. So Sarah, I'd just like you to introduce yourself to the guests, let them know how old you are, what you do for a living.
Okay, so I'm Sarah. I'm 37 years old, mother of 5 children, and I'm currently got a couple. I'm
You do
currently, yeah,
loads
I
of
work
jobs.
in a children's home, a youth worker, and I've got my own organisation as well that helps disadvantaged families and young people.
Okay. So, obviously you've got your own book as well,
Yeah.
Innocent, which tells your story, which I believe was it Sunday Times bestseller?
Yes, Sunday Times bestseller. Yeah.
And that's outlining your story to do with your son, Kamran, and
Yeah.
what happened with him being murdered. So that's what I'd like to talk to you about today.
Mm.
What only what you're comfortable with sharing.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, basically for you to tell the viewers that story.
Yes.
Maybe there might be somebody watching that's been through it themselves, or you know,
Yeah. I do think it is a story that can help people. That's why I don't mind talking about it and stuff like that. So
yeah. And obviously now you've set up your own CIC sharing cams cuddles
yeah,
after what happened, which is amazing. You're helping so many other families now. Um, and just letting your son's name live on in a beautiful
yeah,
way, really,
mm,
letting something good and positive come out of what happened.
y-
So I think that's amazing.
yeah. The reason I started it was because obviously for years after he passed, I was in a really dark place, doing taking drugs, drinking all the time and stuff like that, and I had a really victim mentality, as
Yeah,
in why me? Why has this happened to me? But it wasn't me, it was my son, do you know what I mean? And I
yeah,
just had to flip it and just say, I can't keep living like this. And then I raised money for the NHS, NHS, no, NSPCC,
yeah,
and I felt good for it. So
yeah,
then that's how sharing cams could has come about. Like I just started helping other people in my son's name. So it's like killing two birds with one stone. I'm helping other people, and my son didn't die in vain. His
yeah, of
name's living
course.
on, and
Yeah, absolutely. You've turned the negative into a positive.
yeah,
So instead of it being like, why did this happen to me? Now it's like, why it's happened for you,
yeah.
because something good could come out of it. So no, I really respect that. Um, so how old was you when it happened?
So I had Cameron when I was 20. He was my second child. My older son had him when I was 17, so I was a teenage mom. Um, and I was 21 when he passed away. Shall I just go into it? And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so I was a single mom with two kids by the time when Cameron was born. Um, Me and his dad, we split up during the pregnancy. I moved into like a mother and baby hostel. Then I got my own place when Cameron was a couple of months old. I was working. I went out one night to Broad Street, Rat and Parrot, it was called at the time, and I met up with some friends, and they were with this man, and we started talking, exchanged numbers and stuff like that. And then for the next couple of weeks, we were messaging. Then we ended up meeting again, and over a good couple of months, like it wasn't weeks, it was months. It was like 6 months. I introduced him to my children. He started coming around, and he was amazing. And I hate saying he was amazing because
Yeah,
of what he done, but he
yeah,
literally was. He he was great with my kids, he was great with me, like, never done anything bad towards me or anything, and he wasn't working at the time. About 8 months after I met him, he wasn't working at the time, and I was, and I was dropping the kids to my mum's every day and had to catch 2 buses. I lived in Bromford, my mum lived in Yardley, so I'd have to catch 2 buses there, Um, and instead of that, we decided that he'll watch the kids while he's not working. Thierry was at his dad's, that's my older son, at this time. So one day he was just looking after Kamran. He must have been looking after him for about a month. I used to come home from work. Kamran used to be ready for bed, bathed. My dinner, I used to have dinner on the table. Like, I really thought I found a knight in shining armour. Like,
Yeah.
I was 21, I had 2 kids. Like, and this man wanted me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, of
not that I
course.
was sitting here waiting for a man to sweep me off my feet, because I wasn't, but I felt lucky. And then one day, got up for work as normal, got ready, got Cameron up, made him some breakfast, done him a hot chocolate, and when I left, forgot my keys. I come back up and I said bye to Cameron again and Nicholas. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. I went, bye bye, Cameron. He said, bye bye, mum. Like, he wasn't speaking a lot. He was just saying, like, mama. He used to call him dada and stuff like that. And he waved at me and said, bye bye. And I can see him doing it now. Do you know what I mean? And I left for work. I worked in Ladbrokes in the Palisades. So I've gone to work a couple of hours later. The Ladbrokes in Palisades, it's like underground, so the reception isn't good at all down there. I got a phone call saying police are coming for you to take you to the hospital. It's Kamran. Then the phone went down. I was like, what's going on? Why are police coming for me? Like, I'm not understanding that. So I ended up, Cameron's dad worked upstairs of the Palisades as well, so I ended up phoning him and we got a taxi to the hospital. Gone to the hospital now. Nicholas is handcuffed by 3 police officers walking out of A&E at Heartlands. So I'm like, I've run over, I've dropped my coat and bag and floor. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And he's like, they think I go calm. So I'm like, what? Uh, What? Like, fuck? Sorry, just didn't mean so. I just
No,
didn't
that's all
know.
right.
Didn't know what to think. And I've gone inside the hospital now. And it's like slow. It was like slow motion. Everyone was staring at me, and everyone was. It was slow. There was nurses there, or doctors. There was police. I see my mum and my sister, and they were in tears. And I think that's when it kind of like hit me, like, where's Cameron? And I fell to the floor, and I'm rocking back on the floor, and a nurse has come over to me and she was like, are you Cameron's mom? And they told me that Cameron died. And as soon as that nurse come over to me, 2 police officers, non-uniform police officers, come over to me and they were like, are you Cameron's mom? And I said yes. And I was like, can we speak to you? Couldn't really talk at the time. I was in a mess. I was pulling my hair. I was rocking. I was crying. Like, I just found out my son's dead. They ended up taking me into a room anyway and started asking me questions. Who's around Cam? Who looks after him? Like, who's in my life? What kind of person Nicholas is? What kind of person I am? Like, um, and then they said to me, we need to take you down to the station and ask you these questions down there. I said, can I see Cam? I wasn't allowed. Wasn't allowed to see him at all. Wasn't even allowed to speak to my mum or my sister. And they've put me straight in a police car. I don't even can't even remember if it was a police car or just a normal car, but I've got in a police car and they took me to Sutton. Um, and they took me to a room. It was kind of a room like this. It wasn't like a question, you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Um, and it was 2 ladies that were really nice. They were police officers, and they were just talking to me. And we must have been in there for a couple of hours. And then one of them's got called out, and then she's come back in, and she's crying. And I'm thinking, why is this woman crying? Like, and she's like, I'm sorry, Sarah, I'm sorry I have to do this. And I've gone, what? And she's gone, I have to arrest you for manslaughter by gross negligence and knowing and allowing your child to die. So manslaughter by gross negligence is a charge um, where I never no, the knowing and allowing a child to die was a new charge then, and it's where they're trying to say I never done anything, but I knowingly allowed Nicholas to kill my child and then left for work. The manslaughter by gross negligence is where I just neglected it and allowed it to happen, and I can't even remember what happened then. I can't even. I know I ended up at Stechford police station then in a cell. And I can't even remember how I got there or anything, like that big blank. And so at Stechford, I was interviewed, um, interviewed by the police. They were asking me loads of questions. I couldn't really talk. I couldn't. I'm trying to deal with my son's not here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I woke up this morning. I had this whole family, and now
Yeah.
I'm in a police station being charged for my son's death. Like, and I couldn't answer the questions, and then they sent me to a doctor's and stuff. A doctor come to like ask me questions. It must have been a psychiatrist or something, and then they put me in a cell. The cell was open, and a police officer was sitting like in the doorway. And I remember I was just sitting up in the corner, and I was just rocking and crying, and I must have kept nodding off to sleep for like 2 minutes. Now you nod off, and every time I wake up, it would hit me again, and I'd scream and stuff like that. And the next day, that was the Thursday. Somehow it come to the Saturday. I don't know how where that whole day went. It come to the Saturday and had to go to magistrate's court. It was closed that day, but I think for some cases it's still open. And they put me and him in the same police van. Like we couldn't see each other, but we was in the same police van, and he was shouting me, and he was shouting, Sarah, I love Cameron. I love Cameron like my own. I love you. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I'm just I'm just crying. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know what's going on. In my head, there's no way Nicholas has done anything to my son.
Yeah.
No way. This can't be true. But when we was in the interview room, they were saying like one of you's done something because these injuries. They never told me the injuries, but they said these injuries was done non-accidental. Um, I never got bail. This was just to say our names and stuff like that and answer the charges, and I never got bail. And I had to go to Eastwood Park Prison in Gloucester. And they said to me, one of the prison officers when we got there said to me, "Don't tell anyone why you're here." I wanted to talk. I needed to talk about my son. I need a hug. I just need to talk to someone. Do
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I've gone in there, and I've just sat in a room, and the next morning they wanted me to do a prison induction, a gym induction. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, no way on this earth am I gonna be walking around the prison like getting to know it. Like, do you know what I
Yeah. It's
mean? Like,
unreal.
I wouldn't eat, I never ate for the whole 9 days I was there. They dosed me up on so much medication. I was just sitting on the bed for the whole time, not moving. Like it was really bad. And then I kept asking to see my son. They wouldn't allow me to see him and stuff like that. After 9 days, went back to court, Crown Court this time, and I got bail. But the condition was I wasn't allowed in Birmingham, and I wasn't allowed with children under 5. That means I wasn't allowed my son, my older son, um,
And how old was he at the time?
3 at the time. And all he's ever known was me. Didn't know his dad that well. Seen him now and then. Like
Yeah.
he'd never seen him when he was baby, and he was just getting to know him now.
Yeah.
So I've gone to Gloucester, and that was his dad's family. Like they I didn't know no one out of Birmingham, so his dad's family let me stay with them. Like I'm forever grateful for that because I also would have had to stay in the prison.
What
Uh,
is that? Cameron's dad's
no,
family.
My old Thierry's dad's
Oh,
family.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in Gloucester. By this time, the only person I'm allowed to speak to is my dad, and that's because he never wrote a statement. Every one of my friends, my family, they all wrote statements. So because they wrote statements, I wasn't allowed to talk to them because it's like
Yeah,
could be a
in case.
conflict.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
could try and match stories and stuff like that. The only time I was allowed in Birmingham was to meet my solicitor. Gone to see my solicitor, and the first thing he said to me, "Show me the injuries of Cameron." He had a ruptured spleen, ruptured liver. He had that many bruises on his belly, you couldn't count them. He had a slow bleed in his brain, and he died of internal bleeding. And he said to me, "Someone done this to your son. This is it," because Nicholas was saying he fell off the set. He was like, "This wasn't done non accidental." And I think that's the first time in my head I thought I've realised he hasn't died because I was thinking something must have happened, something must be wrong with him.
Yeah,
He must have an illness that none of us know about.
yeah,
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? And I think that's when it hit me. He's killed my baby. Like someone I love, someone I brought into my son's life has killed my baby. So not only am I trying to come to do with this grief now of my child, it's guilt as well. I've allowed a man in my house, and he's killed my child, and I just yeah that day I think it hit me that what happened to him. He must have been screaming for me. He must have wanted mummy because with Thierry, my older son, my mum helped a lot with him. Do you know what I mean? This was my first child. Cameron loved me the best. Do you know what I mean? Thierry loved my mum, but Cameron loved me, and he wanted me all the time. He was my baby, and he must have been screaming for me, and I
Mm.
wasn't there. And the fact is, I lived right opposite a doctor's surgery where I lived, and his mum, Nicholas's mum, lived in Castle Vale. And instead of taking him to the doctor's surgery, he put him in his pushchair after whatever he done to him and pushed him all the way to Castle Vale to his mum's. And then they kept him outside for fresh air. You've just walked 10 minutes from Bromford to Castle Vale. Why do you need fresh air? And then he tried to blame the paramedics for all the bruises by giving him CPR. I did ask if he would have been took to the doctors, would he have survived? But they said it was so bad there was no way he could have survived. The injuries was like a high impact car crash, and like the doctors at the hospital have said like they've been working with children for like 20 years and never seen injuries like this before. Um, we ended up going to court, and before the trial started, I got acquitted of all charges. The judge even said, like, why is this woman here? No one is saying anything bad about this woman. There's no proof that she was there. The reason I got charged, sorry, I forget
No, that's
things, so I go
absolutely
back and
fine.
forth. So the reason I got charged, the first post mortem would have put me there for 45 minutes before I left. The second post mortem, I wouldn't have been there at all. This happened all when I left. And then they had to get a specialist man, like one of the top. I don't even know what people are called who do postmortems, but from London to come up, and he would have put me up there as well. But because of that first one, that 45-minute window, that's the reason I got charged. But the judge acquitted me of all charges. It was kind of like bittersweet because
How long was you in prison before you got acquitted?
so it was 9 days in prison. Then I was on on bail for about 8 months. So I seen Thierry if my dad brought him up, but it wasn't after. My dad works. They couldn't come up all the time, and he was even like, "Where's mummy? Why's
Yeah.
mummy left me?" So it was all of that as well. So when I got acquitted, yes, I'm happy. I'm not being accused now of killing my baby, but my son's still not here. I still
Yeah.
haven't got my baby. Like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
What? How do I continue life? I can't do it.
And what did you get to go to the funeral?
The funeral. So the funeral happened after. So he had to have a whole trial then on his own. So the funeral wasn't till after his trial. So he never got buried. Buried. So a whole. Tell a lie. No, that's a lie. He got buried after I got acquitted, but without his brain. So he got and his spleen. It had to be kept for evidence, but I wanted him buried. Um, so he. Well, is the funeral happened before we even got acquitted? Sorry, the funeral happened even before we got acquitted because I was only allowed in Birmingham for 4 hours. Police was there. I wasn't allowed to talk to my family, so I literally had to go to my son's funeral and go on a train on my own
That's
back to
disgusting.
Gloucester. I wasn't allowed. Like if I was allowed to hug my mum and stuff there, but police was standing right there watching every move. Um, didn't couldn't really have any say in my son's funeral either, like in what he was gonna wear, what songs, because I could have went through my dad and stuff like that, but I just wasn't
Yeah.
there. Like I just wasn't there. And yeah, so he then had the trial, and on the trial, first day of trial, loads of his friends come. Loads of them. There must have been about 15 of them in the court. Um, he's he knew quite a lot of people. He's from Nature's. He knew quite a lot of people. And I think now we're probably thinking, there's no way he's done this.
Yeah.
There's no way. But the first 10 minutes in the courtroom, they all walked out. I think there was like, what are we doing here? We can't be
Yeah.
supporting this. And he didn't show no remorse in the court. He didn't even stand up and give evidence or even try and defend himself. Or he had one friend that come and they were talking during the trial, talking to each other and
Unreal.
stuff like that. He just didn't care. When I went up, the police asked me to be like a witness for him. Now I'm like, can't be a witness because I don't know anything. And they were like, no, we just want you to tell the truth. Like they painted the picture now that he's like a Jekyll and Hyde. So what they said is that he smoked cannabis. So what they said was that day he never had any, but in his system he still had like 5 times the amount of a normal cannabis user or
Yeah.
something. Um, and they said that's why Cameron must have been crying, and that's why he switched. Um, so that's what they were trying to use. It was like a Jekyll and Hyde, and but it proved it because at the end of the trial, when he got sentenced to 15 years, and he kicked off. About 5 prison guards were holding him in the I don't know what it's called, where
The
he has,
doc.
yeah, in the dock, and the judge added on 2 more years because of how he was acting, and I said, "This is the Jekyll and Hyde character that happened that day."
Yeah.
So we got 17 years IPP, meaning he's needs to. convince the parole board that he's safe to come out after 17 years. 17 years is next May, by the way. So we've got the parole hearing in December, and I'm getting ready to write my statement and stuff like that. And yeah, it's kind of set me back a bit, to be fair, my mental health.
Yeah, of course.
I'm in a better place because I'm stronger, but my mental health isn't great.
Yeah.
It really isn't great at the minute. Like, I haven't felt this bad since Kamran died. Like, I'm really trying my hardest to hold it together, because the thought of him walking the streets knowing that he killed my baby,
Yeah.
I can't allow that to
Yeah.
happen. Like, there's no way on this earth I can allow that to happen. So when he got sentenced, we was allowed to bury his brain and his spleen then. And he was like a little box, and I was holding this little box, and he had his brain in. Like, my son's brain is in this box. Like, it was horrible. Like, I, I really wouldn't wish it on
Do you know what?
my worst
No
enemy.
one should ever have to go through what you've been through. It's terrible, absolutely terrible. But you're so brave that you're still here
I
and that you're trying to make something positive out
really
of
don't
it.
know how, Liz. Like,
Well, not trying, you actually have. Obviously, you've set up sharing Cam's cuddles. You've helped other families. You take other families out on day trips to the beach, and like, honestly, it's just amazing. Not what's happened, but how you've managed to deal with it afterwards and make something positive come out of what you've been through.
yeah, it took me years to get to here, because at first I was, as I said, I lived for the weekends. I wasn't really caring about my older son. I cared about him. I was still there, but he was fine because he was with his
Yeah,
dad and
yeah,
my mum, and
yeah,
they were fine with him. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And I just cared about drinking,
yeah. Just to try
sniffing
and numb
cocaine.
yourself.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was my way of just dealing with life,
Yeah,
because I didn't want to be here.
yeah,
I really didn't want to be here. I had a couple of attempted suicides and stuff like that. Like, my sister was 16 at the time. She had to, like, I tried to hang myself with a shower curtain, and it was my sister that got me down and stuff like that. Like, the things I put my family through after, like,
yeah. But
I
that's
feel
not
so
you.
bad.
All of this is because of him. It's not your fault. None of it's your fault.
No,
None
but
of it at
I
all.
feel I have to take some accountability though,
Yeah,
because I brought him into my
yeah.
children's
But
life.
you didn't bring him into your children's life knowing that he was going to do that, like you
No,
said.
no way.
He was great, and so before that, was that? I don't know whether you'll ever know this, but was that the first incident whatever happened on that day, or do you think that maybe you'd done
No,
something?
so I think it was about a month before. He had a cap on. It was a sunny day. He had a cap on, and I took his cap off, and he had the imprint of the cap on his head. And I said to him, "Well, you put his cap on a bit too tight, ain't ya?" And while we was there, uh, while I was there as well, his head started swelling a bit on the side. So I said, "Oh, his head's swelling. Has he banged his head or anything?" He's like, "Nah, it's been fine all day." Um, Ended up taking him to the hospital anyway, and they done a scan, and they never said nothing. Never asked me no questions about who's around him or stuff like that. And they thought it was something to do with his blood.
Yeah,
So he had some tests done, and they sent him home. But with hindsight now, he could have that could have been caused by
yeah,
him and stuff like. And but this is why, because of that reason, because I took the reason they said that they never asked me any questions, because of Cameron's relationship with me at the hospital. He as I said, he was my baby. He loved me.
yeah,
Every time a nurse come by him, he would want me. Do you know what I mean? So because his relationship with me, that's why they never questioned a non-accidental injury,
Yeah.
and they went down taking blood tests route. But that's the reason that if a children goes in now with a head injury to the hospital, to a Birmingham hospital, they will get questioned: who's around the child, where's this child been, and stuff like that, and it will be treated no matter what as a non-accidental injury from the beginning, and you will be questioned because of how they miss Kamran.
Yeah.
The hospital had to pay to donate £10,000, and that went to the NSPCC, and that's how us ended up starting like raising money for them because of how they missed. If they
Yeah.
would have done
If they would have picked up on that,
if they would have done like what scan is it called?
where they can
A
see
like a CT
internal
scan.
inside.
Yeah, they would have seen something, but they never done that. So
Yeah. But I suppose, like you said, because you was the one that took him and
yeah,
you were so loving and they seen he was like, they didn't suspect anything because it was you in the hospital with him. They had no reason to think that it could
yeah,
have been that day could have been caused by,
yeah. Well, I didn't,
harm.
and
Exactly.
I'm his mother. Do you know what I
Yeah, of
mean?
course, because he'd
Hindsight
shown no
is
signs of it whatsoever.
hindsight is an amazing thing. Like, if
But
only we knew
and
then,
that's what's
and he'd
so
still be
scary about
here.
these men is because they're very calculated and they're very good at, like, you think that you with, like you said, the perfect guy. I've landed on my feet here. I've found the perfect guy, and they have got two sides. They
Mm.
are the Jekyll and Hyde. They are like the angel and the
Well,
devil.
when this happened, probably about 5, 6 years ago, actually, a girl messaged me. She must have found me on Facebook. She messaged me telling me how he was with her. They were seeing each other at the time, and he used to stop at her house and that because he wasn't living with me. I never let him live with me. Just used to stop a couple of nights a week and stuff. But he was so the nights he wasn't with me, I thought it was at his mum's. He was with a girl, so he was living a different life as well. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And you do never know anyone. Like people say, you shouldn't bring a man around your children. This was 8 months. Like,
But the thing is, anyway, you was young. Like we thought,
yeah,
like you was only 21. Like obviously now we're in our 30s, but you was only 21, and when we're younger, like well, you was naive, and he
yeah,
showed
very
you that he
naive.
was a nice person and that he was good around your kids. So you had no reason to question,
Mm,
like it's not like he ever showed you any signs of, oh no, he's not someone I can bring around my kids, like
yeah,
like shouted at your kids in front of you, or like he showed that he was an amazing person around the kids, and so
and
you thought,
yeah,
you thought you landed on your feet.
and then he was a friend of a friend as well. And rest in peace, my friend who introduced us. Now he's not here no more, but he felt so much guilt as well for
Yeah,
introducing us and stuff like that. But as I said, loads of his friends come to court. I don't even know what a child murderer looks like, but
yeah.
obviously no one
They
thought
didn't
it.
even have an inkling.
Yeah,
They thought, nah, he's innocent. Like, there's
yeah.
no way for them to turn up to court and support him. There's no way
Mm.
he's done this sort of thing. So, what role did his mum play in it?
So his mom, um, she after at the end of the court, we had trouble outside the court with his mom and the stepdad. They were arguing on us, and she supported him the whole way. She supported him the whole way. I was horrible. It was me. So I met his mum once, and it was at her house, and Karen was sitting on my lap. Um, and she said in a statement, because she met me that one time, yeah, there was no bond in there. There was no bond at all between Cameron and his mum. So they went, why? What makes you say that? What was he doing? He was sitting on her lap. He was sitting on my lap exactly. If there wasn't no bond, then he wouldn't be sitting on my lap,
Yeah, of
would he?
course, of course.
Like, and the whole taking 15 minutes to phone an ambulance because they need fresh air. Like, I don't get that situation. I don't know whether I can speak on it because no charges have been brought to any other person. So I just don't get why you've walked 10 minutes, but you're waiting 15 minutes for fresh air. I
Yeah,
don't get it.
probably they was probably trying to figure out what to do, really.
Mm.
But the fact that she basically sided with him and tried to make out like it was you that done it, that just shows what kind of person she if
He,
she's willing to stick up for us, though.
his dad come to every court date, never spoke to anyone, sat on his own. I don't think he had a great relationship with his dad, to be fair, but never spoke to anyone, sat on his own. And at the end, he come up to me and he said sorry.
Yeah,
Like, I think he just wanted to sit through it, find out, just
yeah,
listen for himself. And he come up to me and he said sorry. But the other side of the family, just completely different.
that's just disgusting. And like, well, to be honest, I just do you know what? When I think about these things and I see like people on the news that have been like charged with murdering like babies and stuff, I can't get my head around it. Like I have no words. Like how I just don't know how someone could how like
No.
what like what has gone wrong. Like I feel like you've got there's something seriously wrong
Yeah.
with you for you
No,
to
I always try and think and stuff like that. And obviously, I'm a lot more educated now, uh, in the sense of young people and stuff like that. And I just, I don't know whether I try to find a reason why and stuff like that. And like, he didn't have a good upbringing, grew up in poverty, watched abusive relationships and stuff like that. And I try and think of what made you do this?
yeah,
What
yeah,
something must not be right for you to have done that to a child. You must have no sane person could do that.
yeah.
And I'm constantly thinking of reasons why, and there's no reasons, you know what I
No, there's
mean?
not.
Like, and
There's no excuse, even
yeah,
if you have had a traumatic childhood and
yeah,
childhood trauma and that, it doesn't, there's no excuse to just then go on and do something so horrific as that.
and yeah, because this is where I go on about taking accountability. Like, when people go through things as a child, I really think healing is so important
Yeah,
when you come into when you come into your adulthood, because people take do negative choices and negative things, then they blame it on the trauma that they went through. But there comes a time where adults have to take accountability and say,
yeah,
no, like,
yeah,
I need to change. Do you
yeah,
know
of
what I mean?
course. Of course, it can either go one way or the other, but I think the people that blame it on their childhood, they use it as an excuse.
Mm,
Because, like, that'll be like me saying, oh, no, I've been in this abusive relationship and I've been through all this trauma and I've been beat up and abused and that. So I'm just going to go out and be an abuser and start beating people. Do you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like,
Mm,
it's an excuse. Like,
yeah.
yeah, you've been through obviously science does prove that when you've been through certain things in your childhood, it can turn you into an abuser. But like you says, you can't use that as an excuse for the rest of your life, and
Mm,
you don't really want to be like what you've been through.
yeah.
You want to do
Yeah.
better.
I agree with that.
You want to make better choices. And did he have any children of his own?
Yeah, he had a older daughter, so she must be about 20, 21 now.
Yeah,
But yeah, and he's seen her regular. Like, he had her every weekend and stuff like that. And that's another reason why I didn't want bringing him around my kids as well, because
yeah,
he
because
was a
he was
good
a dad
dad.
himself, and he had
Yeah,
his own child,
yeah.
and he was an active father.
Mm.
Just the thought of like you having to deal with like he might get out in May, and
It's because I thought I for years I was so angry, and I was full of pain, and you only had to bump into me and I'll be starting a fight on you.
yeah,
Like, I loved to fight.
yeah,
I actually loved it, and I knew where exactly I was gonna bury him. I knew exactly what I was gonna do to him. Like, I wanted to cause him so much pain and hurt and torture, and let him have a slow and painful death and stuff like that. Like, I've been through with grief, there's loads of stages and stuff like that, and I've been through. It's never straight. The stages of grief, it's like a roller coaster. It's back and forth, and the stage I'm at, like now when it comes to him is I want peace. I want peace, and I don't know if I can have peace if I know he's walking the street.
Yeah.
I physically can't. Like
Yeah.
that's why I took
Just the fact.
reverted, because I was looking for something, a religion. I've always believed in God, and I was looking for a religion that there was some. A lady showed me something in the Quran, and she said that he will be there when I die. He will be there waiting for me, pulling me up to Jannah, which is heaven, and saying, "I want my mum. I want my mum."
Yeah.
And when I looked into that, the religion was so peaceful, and it brought me peace, and that's why I reverted to Islam. I can be a better Muslim, but I'm at the beginning of it. Do you know what I mean? And my life is peaceful at the minute, but I really think he will just totally turn it upside
He
down.
just even the thought of him like being released, and because it's like, why should he be able to come out and start to rebuild his life again after everything what
He
he's
won't
put
even be 40.
you through?
He won't even
Yeah.
be
And
40.
what would he? But is there like some sort of register, like the sex offenders register and stuff, like for like people that have like
I'm
murdered a child
I'm
or?
not sure. I think he'd be on license for the
Yeah.
rest of his life because he's on IPP anyway, and that lasts forever. So if he ever gets into trouble again, he'll be straight back to prison. But you know how it is. Like
Yeah.
people can get out of prison, and the police, unless they are actually caused you physically harm or killed someone, the police don't give a crap. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? They really don't. So I could like I need to think about if he does get out, what do I want put on his license?
Yeah.
And obviously, him not being in Birmingham is one of them.
Yeah.
But then, what does that mean? I can't go out of town just in case I bump into him. Like, why do I feel like I'm locked up? I, c- I, I don't know what I'd do when I sit. Like, I'm thinking, so it's an overhearing where he's gonna be there, so I can either do it by video camera, I can get someone to read my statement out for me, but I'm gonna be there. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna react, but I feel the people on the parole board, they need to see the emotions, they need to see everything. Like, I haven't written the statement yet, but I've got notes in my phone,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna make sure this note, this statement does not get him out. I can't
Yeah.
allow it.
That a victim personal statement.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I had to
Mm,
do one of them. I done 4 pages.
really.
Yeah. How it's affected me and like how it's affected my kids and all the rest of it. But I just hope that justice is served. I really do. In your case, I just hope justice is served
Mm,
because it's not fair. And but I also hope that if he does end up being released, that it it doesn't affect you too negatively. That you can still carry on in a positive way and still have your life, and it doesn't bring you right back down because you've come so far.
and this is what like everyone will say to me. You got other kids. That is the worst thing anyone can say to me, because I know I've got other kids. I get I've got other kids, but my other son's still not here. I've still lost a child. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And the pain. Yeah, my kids are the one that keeps me going, but I'm crippled with pain. Do you know what I mean? I am, and I am only living for them. Like, and it's hard. It's hard now. So yeah, I just don't know how it is gonna be, and
Yeah.
I'm just praying they don't let him out. But sooner or later, they have to. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think just having the right people around you, right support network, and that's what I need to keep doing.
Yeah,
Like,
doing the right things, not going back down that path of letting it lead you to, just drinking your
yeah,
feelings away and whatever.
yeah,
Like still trying to do healthy, positive things. Just taking each day as it comes, really. But hopefully they don't let him out. And then how long would it be again before we could try again?
I'm not even sure. I
Yeah,
think it's yearly,
yeah,
but that's just me guessing.
yeah,
I'm saying that because I get a letter off probation, the
yeah,
victim support, every year just to say, give me an update.
yeah.
So,
Absolutely unreal. And then another part of your story that I wanted to ask you about. So, you've not spoke about it too much publicly. You shared a little bit on social media, but is you growing up believing you was white to then
mm,
find out when you was older that you was actually half Asian?
yeah. So, growing up, I always thought I was tan. I'm pale now, must be anemia and stuff like that. But growing up, I was quite dark skinned. Not dark, but I
Yeah,
was
just like
tanned.
olive
Yeah,
skins.
yeah.
Yeah,
And obviously, I've got a bigger nose than a usual white person. Um, and people used to call me the P slur and stuff like that. And they used to say, "Why you dark? Why don't you and your sister look the same?" My sister with blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin. Um, why don't you look like your mum and your dad? Stuff like that. And I just thought I tan quickly. I just thought, and then I kept my tan. Like
yeah,
I'm a kid, I didn't know, and I never thought nothing. But thinking back now, I did go through an identity crisis. Like I never felt I fitted in with white people. Like I really didn't. I've always felt more comfortable with people of colour and
yeah,
stuff like that. And even when it comes down to music and stuff like that, I even went to the library and bought got books on speaking Arabic and stuff, like different languages. And when it come to, I think I was about 16, 17 at the time, I found out that my dad, who I thought was my dad, I've got his last name, isn't my real dad. Um, and my real dad is Pakistani. And that set me a bit off the rails a bit because then I felt like, why is everyone lying to me? I don't belong. My dad loves my sister more than he loves me and stuff like
yeah,
that. That
yeah,
wasn't the case, by the way, because my
yeah,
stepdad is amazing. Like I don't even call him my stepdad. He's my dad,
yeah,
but it made sense. Things started making sense to me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but there was a bit of me that was lost. I had this whole other culture that I don't know about, and I still
yeah.
don't know
Know
about. Do you
nothing
know what I
about it. Yeah,
mean? And it's something I do wanna learn. Like if I wanted to, I could get in contact with my real dad and stuff. I know I don't know him, but I know people who know my brothers and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I just don't think I'm ready for that yet.
And how did you find out?
So there was family argument, and I got involved in it, and then it got blurted out in an argument, and yeah, I didn't find out that. I just found out my dad wasn't my real dad. I didn't find out I was half Pakistani until I spoke to my mom. But yeah, it made me feel lost. It really
Yeah.
did.
And
Mm.
do your dad knows? Does he know that like your? Does he know that he's got a daughter?
Yeah, so when my mum fell pregnant with me, she found out he told her that he was married already, and he still wanted to be with her, but my mum said no, and then that's when
Yeah,
contact
yeah,
stopped
yeah,
while my mum was pregnant. Um, and I think he tried a couple of times, but my mum was married to my dad, and
yeah,
parenting don't come with a a book, a step by step
yeah.
guide. Do you know what I mean?
And I
And my mum
suppose
thought she was
like
doing the right
yeah, she'd
thing at
moved
the
on
right
by
time.
then,
Do you
and
know what I mean?
yeah,
And but I do think sometimes, what will my life be like? Like
Yeah, if you would have.
Yeah, and the whole fact that I am Muslim now, and my real dad's Muslim, like it that's a bit crazy as well. Like some people say, is that the reason why you've reverted?
I
And
was
it
gonna ask
isn't.
that.
Yeah, it is because when I've looked into religion, I grew up a Catholic. When I've looked into religion, and I'm looking for peace, and I'm looking for hope. I've seen my son again. Islam is the one for me that brings me that peace. Do you know what I mean? And it just so happens that my real dad is Muslim too, but
Yeah.
that's got nothing to do with why I've done it.
Yeah, and that was only really recently, within like the
Yeah,
last 6 months, that you
yeah.
decided to convert to Islam. So, what's your hopes for the future now?
So I'm gonna continue what I'm doing with working with young people. Working with young people, it's my passion. Like I love it. Just love to see kids smile and kids be kids, and the trauma that some children go through at such a young age, it breaks my heart. So I'd like to do anything I can just to make them smile for
Yeah,
half a day. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Anything. So gonna continue doing my youth work, but with sharing camps cuddles, I've just started up a my own 6-week program for trauma recovery. It's called Healing Steps, and it's just things that I've gone through, and like resilience, mindset, just different things, that techniques that I've used, and I'm piloting it in the community and a school in September as a 6 weeks program with young people. I'm gonna probably exploited girls. That's probably
yeah,
where I'm gonna go, just because of growing up. I feel I can relate to that, and I feel there's not enough help for girls that have been exploited. So I'm gonna pilot that in a youth club
yeah,
and in a school in September. And fingers crossed, if that works out, I'm gonna go to other schools and stuff.
yeah,
And I'm also being mentored by someone called Cordell Jeffers. Is a speaker,
yeah.
award-winning
He's
speaker. He's
absolutely
wicked,
amazing.
and I'm hoping by probably the end of next year now, I want to do a TED talk. I want to get into speaking,
Yeah,
motivational speaking, because I feel after what I've been through and coming out the other side, it does. I get messages from people who have read my book and say like I've helped them. So if I can do that on a bigger scale, that's what I want to
yeah,
do.
that's amazing. 1,000,000%. You are inspiring just to even be here and to be, and to be doing these things to pull yourself out of that rut, like, and to get something good going with your life after everything what
Y-
you've been through. Like, honestly, like, or as a mother, I just can't even imagine. Like, so it's just you should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you,
So, so, so proud of yourself. And I know that you're making Cameron proud with what you're doing.
thank you.
And something, this is the one positive thing that's come out of everything what you've
Yeah,
been through.
it makes me just feel like he didn't die in vain. Like, being nominated for that NBCC award, like, at first, I didn't like it because in my head, the only reason I've been nominated for it is because my son died. But
Yeah,
then I changed that mindset and, like, yes, your son died, but look how many people you've helped since then. Like, he
yeah,
has not
you
died in
deserve it.
vain, and people, no, strangers, when I'm out, strangers come up to me, "Are you Cam's mum? Are you Cam's mum?" Like, that warms my heart, you know what I mean? Like, people
Yeah,
have got I I don't know how many books I've sold, but people have got pictures of my son in their house.
yeah,
Do you know, yeah, that makes me happy.
yeah. The message is spread far and wide,
Yeah,
and you just now you can be like a little bit of hope for other people that have been through, like, lost a
yeah,
child to murder and stuff, or been through something similar, that you can make something positive out of it. And
mm,
yeah, like you said, Cam's name can live on in a good way.
yeah, definitely.
Well, I think, like, I just think that it's just, I have no words. Like, it's just, I can't even think of a word, but it's just what you've been through. It's absolutely horrific, and just the fact that, like I said, you've took it, and you've made something positive out of it, and you've now got sharing cams cuddles, and you're helping so many other families, and so yeah, like, and you deserve to win that award.
Thank you.
You do, you really
Thank
do.
you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and being a guest and being brave enough to share your story.
And thank you for making me feel comfortable, because I was nervous. I was, so you've made me feel comfortable. So
That's good. I'm glad I have. No, that's what I aim to do. Have you got anything you'd want to share or anything you want to say to the viewers before we close this episode?
Just everyone follow Sharing Cams Cuddles on Facebook or Instagram. Obviously we got that trauma recovery coming up, and soon we'll be starting my Christmas appeal where we're trying to feed 100 families. So yeah, start following, and if you want to help, you can help.
And the trauma recovery, did you say it's a 12-week program?
Could do it into 12 or 6.
And is that what age is for that? Is that for?
I've adapted it to senior
Yeah.
school, 11 to 16, but it's not exclusive to that. It
Yeah.
can be changed.
And what kind of so children that have experienced what kind of things can get in touch to come on that?
Anything really, just trauma, but as in the sense of just gone through. They've got like low moods,
Yeah.
like bad mental health. It can be anything. I don't want to just
Make it too specific.
Yeah, and
You
then
want it to
people
be open.
can't
come because they haven't been through that. Or
Yeah, I don't want to do that
get
because people's traumas are different, and the way people handle trauma is different. Some people are a lot stronger than others. Do you know what I mean? So just because that one person's gone through seems so worse than someone else, they still not might be able to handle that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't want to make the box small.
Okay. And where can people buy your book?
So my book's on Amazon. Sarah Rose Innocent, and that's the link for that is in my bio on my Insta.
And your Instagram is Sarah Rose, yeah?
Yeah, Sarah Rose 85, I think. Yeah.
It's mad when you have to think of your own name and all the information. I'm just throwing questions at you. But no, thank you again for coming. It's been lovely to hear you. Obviously, it's a sad story, but it's been nice that you've been able to come on and share that for the viewers and for potentially to help other people as well that have been through the same. So yeah, I just want to say a big thank you for coming today. And for the viewers, just please like the YouTube channel, subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you don't miss an episode. And yeah, that's it for this episode. Thank you, and we're out.